Hi scholars, welcome back to Read Aloud. I'm so excited today because starting now until the end of the week, we get to finish the year with reading a new type of text. We're going to read more fictional stories, but they all contain a mystery or a puzzle that our characters are going to try to solve and investigate. We kind of get to help them because we don't know how the end of the book goes, so we'll be getting these clues just like the characters. I can't wait to figure out the different puzzles and mysteries that our books have for us to solve. Not only are we going to be looking and watching this mystery unfold in our text, but we're going to get to look at the clues the author is giving us about our characters. When we get to pay close attention to those clues and details, we're going to discover something like a mystery of our own. We're going to learn more about the characters. And that will help us in figuring out ways that the characters are different. And that's one of our purposes for reading this week, is to figure out the ways that the characters are different and how that impacts their different motivations and different actions. We get to start with Detective LaRue, Letters from the Investigation. This is written and illustrated by Mark Teague. Now, as we're reading this, I told you we're going to be working on character contrast. We're going to be working on character contrast. What is that? You might not have ever heard that word character contrast before. That just means that we're going to be talking about or contrasting all the ways that the characters are different from each other. How do we do that, you might say? Well, we ask, how are the characters different? And how do these differences impact their different motivations? And why do we do this? Well, we want to figure out why different characters behaved or do different things. And one way to figure that out is to look at the ways that they are different from one another. So as we read today, we're going to get to do that. And our job will be to figure out all the different ways that our characters are different from one another. On the cover of the book that I just showed you, I saw a dog, and he has this magnifying glass. So I'm wondering if he's using this magnifying glass to look at something. And I wonder if maybe this might be Detective LaRue. I wonder what he's trying to figure out. Let's go ahead and read to get started. And as we read, I'm going to be taking some notes on my board about our characters and their motive. That'll help us in figuring out ways that they're different and we can see it very clearly. Let's go ahead and get started. Ooh, I love this. We have a clip from the Snort City Register / Gazette. It's September 30th. Hibbins cats missing is the headline. Dogs suspected in a possible case of feline foul play. 2 Snort City cats were reported missing yesterday, and hours later a neighborhood dog was captured by police. Although there was no sign of forced entry, the cats were apparently abducted from their 2nd Avenue apartment. I simply can't imagine them leaving on their own, said owner Leona Hibbins. My darlings wouldn't dream of upsetting me like that. Supporting Mrs. Hibbins' theory was the capture in Gruber Park of the local dog Ike LaRue, whom the police described as suspicious. LaRue was apprehended while attempting to bury a bag of cat treats. Ike has always had it in for my cats, said Mrs. Hibbins, citing an altercation on the building's fire escape 2 winters ago. I just want to know what he did to them this time. The dog's owner, Gertrude R. LaRue, is currently vacationing in Europe. Ike will be detained at police headquarters pending further investigation. And here we have a picture with a caption that says Police, Nab LaRue. And there he is with his cat treats. You can see the picture there. So we've already learned a lot about Mrs. Hibbins, and it'll be very helpful when we're trying to compare our characters later. So I want to go ahead and take some notes about our character Mrs. Hibbins and her motive, or what is it that she wants and what she's thinking and what's driving her motivation right now. Well, in the text, she says, I simply can't imagine them leaving on their own. My darlings wouldn't dream of upsetting me like that. And she says, Ike has always had it in for my cats. So that lets us know a few things. us know that Miss Hibbins thinks Ike took her cats. Do you guys think Ike took her cats? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We kind of get to solve the mystery as we read the book. How exciting. And that piece of text told us that Mrs. Hibbins wants the police to arrest Ike. And she's probably glad that they did because she thinks Ike took her cats. I wonder if LaRue is feeling the same way. Ooh, now we have a letter. And this letter says, Dear Mrs. LaRue. It's on October 1st. I'm going to read this letter to you and then I'll show you some of the photos or the pictures. Dear Mrs. LaRue, I hate to disrupt your vacation, but you must return immediately. An unfortunate misunderstanding, as well as very sloppy police work, has landed me in jail. The case involves the Hibbins cats, who have mysteriously disappeared. As usual, everyone blames the dog, without even considering whether the cats might have been guilty of something. Needless to say, reports that I was attempting to steal their strangly yummy cat treats are entirely false. Come home now. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. This must seem sadly familiar. Now we have text evidence to let us know more about Ike. Sounds like Ike and Mrs. Hibbins are pretty different. And we know that as readers, it's our job to compare and contrast our characters. So we've got to figure out and ask ourselves, what ways are these characters different? Well, first let's think about Ike, or also he's known as Detective LaRue. Well, LaRue in his letter says that there's been an unfortunate misunderstanding as well as very sloppy police work, and it's landed him in jail. So that lets us know a few things about Ike. I've written those down here so we can look at how they're different from Mrs. Hibbins. So Ike knows that he's innocent based off this text that we just read, and he wants to be released from jail. How is that different than what Mrs. Hibbins is thinking? Well, Ms. Hibbins thinks Ike is guilty, and Ike thinks he's innocent. That's different. What else is different between Mrs. Hibbins and Ike? You're right. Miss Hibbins wants Ike to stay in jail and be arrested, but Ike wants to be released and freed from jail. This is important and going to help us learn and understand a little bit more of their actions. Dear Mrs. LaRue, another letter from Ike, but this one is dated October 2nd. Dear Mrs. LaRue, the police continue to interrogate me about what happened to the Hibbins cats. I wish I knew. The last I saw of them, they were sunbathing in Gruber Park. I went to retrieve their cat treats, which they foolishly had left by the swings, and when I returned, they were gone. I know Mrs. Hibbins is upset, but I'm sure she'll get over it. Between you and me, they weren't very good cats. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. Imagine how I feel cooped up inside this lonesome dungeon. So like we said, our job as readers is to figure out the differences between our characters. So in the text, Ike writes, between you and me, they weren't very good cats. But earlier, Mrs. Hibbins said that her darlings wouldn't upset her like that. So this lets us know another difference between Ike and Mrs. Hibbins. Mrs. Hibbins loves cats. She calls them her little darlings. And Ike says that they weren't very good cats, so he dislikes them, while Miss Hibbins loves them. That's another difference between these two characters. Another letter. This one is October 3rd. Dear Mrs. LaRue, if you really want to know why I was in Gruber Park, the truth is that I was doing Mrs. Hibbins a favor. The cats had threatened to damage her apartment, as only cats can, unless I let them out for some fresh air. Reluctantly, I agreed. Now it appears that they had more in mind than a simple walk in the park. My kindness was repaid with deception. I have learned my lesson. Regretfully yours, Ike. P.S. No, I do not think it would be best for me to remain with the nice police until you finish your vacation. Ooh, so now Ike is writing to Mrs. LaRue, his owner, and he says, no, I do not think it would be best for me to remain with the nice police until you finish your vacation. That lets me know Mrs. LaRue thinks that Ike should stay with the police while she finishes her vacation. Sounds like we've detected another difference between some of our characters. Ike thinks he belongs outside of jail, and Mrs. LaRue thinks he belongs inside of jail. She wants him to stay so she can finish her vacation. But Ike is feeling lonely and like he's innocent in this jail, and he wants to get out. That's another difference between our two characters. Dear Mrs. LaRue, now it's October 4th. I can't begin to tell you how dire this situation has become. Mrs. Hibbins insists that I am responsible for losing her cats. Plus, she has managed to convince everybody that they were rare and valuable. Nobody stops to consider how unlikely that is. But nothing is being done to find them. Apparently, it is easier for some people to blame a dog than to solve a crime. In fact, the police claim to be working on another case entirely. It looks like I will have to take matters into my own paws and solve this mystery myself. Your dog, Ike. P.S. Besides, it has become shockingly apparent that you do not intend to come get me. Wow. Ike does not sound like he's very happy based on what we just read in his letter. I want to think about Ike's motivation for a second. Why does Ike write, it looks like I will have to take matters into my own paws and solve this mystery myself? Why does Ike write that? We know we need to go back and find some text evidence. We need to figure out what Ike wants and explain that in our answer. So scholars, today we're going to stop there and finish our mystery tomorrow. Today, go write your response to that question on a note in Seesaw or a piece of paper using neat handwriting. Make sure you use complete sentences, the character's name, your text evidence, and what the characters want. Remember, the question is, why does Ike write, I will have to take matters into my own paws and solve the mystery myself?